going to be talking to our first guest now in the studio, Lloyd. He's going to be telling us all about Workshop 34. Firstly, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for having me. It's good to be on the Isle of Sheppey. I've never been to the island before at all.
Oh, well, it's a nice place.
Yes, I've only seen it in the dark so far.
Well, I was hoping you could perhaps give us a little bit of an introduction about yourself, just to start things off.
Well, I'm an artist and entrepreneur, a writer, photographer, do all sorts of things. But I've run a series of pop-up shops in empty shops with my business partner Dan Thompson, and I've also done lots of other collaborative things, so I'm very interested in how people work together and how communities form around interesting stuff, especially around art.
So you're here this evening to talk about Workshop 34, so what exactly is it?
Well, it's very simply, it's a shop. But it's a shop, it's a pop-up shop in Sittingbourne High Street, number 34. But it's a shop where we also have working space. So people can come and work in the upstairs space. We've got offices. They can also work in the shop. And then they can sell the stuff that they've made in the shop. At the moment, we've got a range of painters, ceramicists, all sorts of different artists, local artists who brought in work to sell. But we're expanding all the time into. We're doing some workshops. We're getting all sorts of other people in. We're here to support people in the creative industries. So anything that comes under that label of creative counts.
I was wondering next if you could let us know a little bit about who's involved.
Well, it's the whole project is funded by Kent County Council. I'll maybe talk about that in a bit, but we have in the shop at the moment a number of people from Swale Arts Forum. Dean Tweedy from Marvellous Murals, he came along to one of our coffee mornings very early on at the end of November, and we were still thinking about what we might have in the shop, and I said it'd be nice if we could get some art in, and Dean said leave it to me, and he went off and got all his friends from locally and around Sittingbourne and on Sheppey to bring bits of art in to sell. So we've got painters, we have ceramicists. Beth Lanning and Laurie Halpam are both from the island. They've got some lovely work in there. We've got people with kind of crafty stuffed animals. We've got some handbags just come in and some woolly hats and things like that. And then we've got all sorts of stuff made out of wood, from recycled wood. People working with that. We really do have an enormous range, and it's really anything that can be termed as creative within Sittingbourne. So I'm really daring people to bring stuff along and sell it. If they've made it and they want to put a price tag on it and sell it, then we're very happy to have a go.
So how did it all come about?
Well, as I say, it's funded by Kent County Council and Swale Borough Council from some EU money. So people are quite sceptical about the European Union often, about where all that money seems to go, but actually that money's coming back into our community here and being used to regenerate high streets, especially as part of a project called the Recreate project. So Recreate is about opening up buildings and spaces that have been closed for a while, regenerating the high street, bringing different sorts of retail and different sorts of cultural activities back into high streets. So we were commissioned as part of that project to open up Workshop 34 in Sittingbourne High Street, because it's one of those high streets in the southeast of England that has been neglected. People have left it, shops have left it. A lot of you'll know a lot of the shops in the high street are boarded up, and have been for quite some time, and so that's what it's there for. It's there to regenerate that, especially that end of the high street, because the top end of up at the top of the hill, where the Forum Centre is quite well developed, and there's lots going on there. But as you get further down the hill, the older buildings, there are fewer things there, and we've actually brightened up that end of the high street quite a lot. Our neighbours over the road are very pleased indeed that we're there, because they were looking at a horrible empty shop for many years. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
I was hoping next you could let us know a little bit about why it is important.
Well, I think it's really important that we regenerate our high streets. They're really important places for people to come together and not just spend money in chains. Although obviously I spend lots of money myself in chain shops. I think it's really good for the community to have independent shops selling locally produced goods. So I think that's one good thing. I also think that it's good for people to express their creativity. An awful lot of people find themselves not stopped from doing things like that after school. People do. We have lots and lots of people come into the shop and I ask them if they make anything, and they say, "Oh, well, I used to really enjoy doing this at school, but I haven't done anything since then because I went off and worked in a bank or worked in a shoe shop or something." So I think that's really important too, that we help people exercise their creativity, and we can do that in lots of different ways. We're running workshops to help people get back into doing those kinds of things, but we're also helping people who have made stuff themselves to sell it. And there's something really nice. I mean, it's just lovely when we sell something of somebody's, and we get to give them a call and say, "It's gone. Come and get your money."
So, what's coming up then?
Well, the project is only really funded till the end of March, so we're quite tight now. We've got another 10 weeks or so. It may go on from then. We're being reviewed, and we may be able to extend the project a little bit, but the official cut-off date is the end of March. So the main things we're trying to do at the moment is get more workshops going. So we have people doing textiles, kind of needlework and applique and those kinds of things. We have people doing screen printing workshops. We have a lady doing teaching people how to make clay flowers. She makes flowers out of clay. They're beautiful. They're in the shop window at the moment. You can see them. And she's teaching people how to do that. We've got somebody doing some basic drawing skills. We've got somebody doing some photography. Cameraless photography, so photograms and that kind of thing, and so those are all great. But we'd love to do some more. I'm not running things necessarily myself. I'm looking for people to run workshops as much as I'm looking for people to come along to workshops. So we could do with some more of those. I'm also keen to encourage people to work in the space. So we have one business that is permanently resident there at the moment. I'd like to have 9 or 10. I'd like to have people working there all the time. So I'm particularly keen on people who are maybe freelancers who are working at their kitchen table or working in their bedroom at the moment. Don't think they can afford to have a space in the high street, but would like to try it out. I'd love to have them along in the shop and give them the chance to try something. We've got a couple of exhibitions coming up. So we've got we have the Youth Arts Festival from Sheppey. They're bringing their exhibition, which is showing shortly here, I think. They're going to bring it down to Sittingbourne when it's finished. And the first 2 weeks of February, we've got an exhibition that's all about love. So, in with Valentine's Day, we have an exhibition that starts at the beginning of February, and we're asking people to put in any work that they can about that's basically around love, and whatever love brings up for them. Sometimes it's positive. Most of the time it's positive. Sometimes it's a bit negative, but we hope that we can spread some love around Sittingbourne too.
Who supports you then?
Well, we get basic financial support from the Recreate project, but that just pays to keep the place open and to keep me there for the time being. We rely on and enjoy working with volunteers. So all the people who are working in the shop are volunteers, and they are getting all sorts of different things out of being there. Some of them are kind of swapping that volunteering time for time that they use upstairs and doing projects and those kinds of things. Other people are selling their work in the shop. Other people are using the time in the shop to publicise the fact that they're doing workshops and all those kinds of things. Other people just like to be in a shop because it's really nice to be in the high street and meet lots of different people. So we're very keen on having more and more volunteers along. The more volunteers we have, the longer I can keep the shop open during the day and hopefully at weekends too. It's also very important for me. Part of the project is to build a community around art and creativity. And it gives us a focus for doing that. It's sometimes difficult to create community out of thin air, but if you've got a focal point where people can meet and work together, that's really helpful. So yeah, and people like you support us by giving us some nice PR, inviting me on the show. It's very kind of you to do so.
I know, thank you for coming along. I was hoping you could let our listeners know if they would like to get involved or how people can get involved.
Well, the easiest, the best thing from my point of view is to just come into the shop. That's one of the great things about being on the high street is we can just invite people to come in, say hello, see what kinds of things they'd like to do, and talk about the kinds of things that they've done and whether there's anything they want to sell or anything they want to do. We've a very strong Facebook presence. We found that the people we wanted to be talking to were very strong on Facebook already when we started up, and so the Facebook page is a good place to get an idea of what's going on as well. So that's it's called Sittingbourne Workshop, and I'm sure you've got a link.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think so. I think that's probably about it. It's come and see us or visit us online and talk to us online. I mean, Dean Tweedy and I both run the Facebook page, and if you've got any questions, that's a good first place to start.
Well, I'd like to thank you very much for coming along and telling listeners all about what you do at Workshop 34.
Thank you, Daniel.